Hello, I'm Jolene Jang. Welcome to Women Who Go For It. The mission is to empower women to take action on what's important to them. By meeting these dynamic women, we're going to learn about their best practices so we can ponder, adopt, adapt, and get inspired to make progress in our own lives. We're going to take a peek into the past and spend most of the time in the present and preparing for the future. We're going to look at their obstacles and what they've done to cope and manage them. Women who go for it. Today, we are talking to the GPS girl, Karen Jacobsen, and her voice has been on over 400 million devices. In our talk here, she's going to go over her determination. She got a lot of negative feedback. You can't do this. But she was persistent and she made her dreams come true. She speaks and sings in order to entertain and inspire you and to get you to recalculate when things are not going your way. Now, speaking of, on this interview, the audio is subpar, and of course, it's ironic. We're talking to the GPS girl, so forgive me for the audio, but you can still hear it, and it's worth the poor audio.
Karen, tell us, when you were a child, did you ever think of, someday I'm going to tell people? Tell me about your childhood a little bit. And how, because I'm curious of the connection from the GPS girl to this. Was there any seeds of that in your childhood?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have been singing since I was very, very small. And my parents tell me that when I was 2 years old, I would be sitting, eating my sandwiches, singing along to the radio. And I now, as the mother of a small child, understand not every child does that. But at 7 years of age, I saw Olivia Newton-John on television. And that's when my life...
Get physical.
Exactly, that's when my life changed. And I saw this blonde Australian singer who'd moved to America, and everybody loved her over here. And I wanted to be just like her. And that was a pivotal moment in my whole life that has affected many major decisions ever since. I wanted to be a professional singer and moved to America. So it was an unexpected occurrence to have my speaking voice end up in a bazillion devices around the world. But I certainly grew up feeling very, sure that I wanted my voice to reach millions of people.
And I'm picturing you at 6 or 7 or 8 thinking, well, what I need to do here in order to get there.
Exactly. Oh, totally.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, I had absolutely no idea what to do in that sense because I was in a small town called Mackay in northern Australia. No professional musicians. I mean, Mackay is a beautiful place. It's crystal blue water and sugar white sand, and we have 9 out of the 10 most poisonous snakes in the world. But it is really a tropical place where tourism and sugarcane ruled the day. It was not a music scene. There was not a music scene. So I was like, but somewhere inside me, I remember very clearly always thinking, somebody has to do this, why not me? Someone has to be a professional singer, why not me? And I don't know where that came from, but that saved me so many years of living in the musical wilderness, in the middle of nowhere in terms of the music business, to think, well, but somebody has to do it, why not me? I can do that.
And when did you start taking the path to get there?
I dreamed endlessly as a child, and I was just absolutely absorbed by music. I was taking piano lessons from a young age. I was singing in the school choir, in a community choir. I was in the local singing competitions, in the school musical. So anything to do with music, I was a part of it. I was fully a part of it for my entire childhood, all the way through. And then I went to Brisbane to study music at the Queensland Conservatorium of Music. And it was during that first year I met the most successful session singer in town, and I went up to her and I said, well, how do I get to do what you do? How do I get to sing sessions? And she told me I needed a demo reel, and I said, okay. She said, you need a reel, and that way you can play that for different producers. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, well, how am I going to do that? So I went back to my college dorm room and I opened the Yellow Pages, and there were 23 recording studios in Brisbane at that time. And I just set about calling them. And this was like a total cold calling. I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I've got to just find a way. 'Cause I didn't have the money for a demo tape.
Yeah.
So I called the first studio. I said, "Hi, I'm Karen. I'm a singer. I would love to come and sing sessions for you." And the person on the phone said, "Do you have a demo tape?" And I said, "No, I don't."
That's what I'm trying to get.
Right. I don't, but I'd be happy to come and sing live for you in the studio. And they said, "Well, we don't do that. Call us back when you have a demo tape," and hung up on me. So I made 22 calls that went like that. And the last call, which was actually the biggest studio in town, was the scariest call to make. I know better now to make the scariest phone call first, but here I was at
Tip.
18 exactly. Make the scariest phone call first. So here I am making the scariest phone call, or the possibly biggest opportunity phone call last. And I gave my spiel. "Hi, I'm Karen Jacobsen, and I'd love to come and sing sessions for you." And they said, "Oh, do you have a demo tape?" And I said, "No, I don't, but I'd be happy to come and sing live for you in the studio." And the person on the end of the phone happened to be the most successful producer in town, Gary Smith. And he said, "Okay." So we made an appointment, and I went in and I sang for him live in the studio. And from that week on, I mean, they called me, and because he said, "We'll call you." I thought, "Oh yeah, right." They called me. I was in the studio 2 to 5 times a week. The rest of the time I lived in Brisbane, and overnight I had an income as a professional musician from those cold calls. So I was driven from a very young age and very clear what it was I wanted to do. But so many things had happened that I could never have expected, like one voiceover booking leading to an entire brand.
So tell us about that, because that's your claim to fame.
It is. So I have been a singer and a songwriter and piano player all these years of my entire career. And along the way done voiceover work for commercials, for television and for radio. And, you know, I got this audition, and a client was looking for a native Australian female voiceover artist living in the northeast of the United States. And by that time I had relocated from Australia to New York City, where I now make my home. And I went to that audition, and they had me say some things like, "At the next intersection, turn left." And they had me say things like, "You have reached your destination." And my favorite, not everybody's favorite, recalculating. So I did all of these different phrases in the audition, and at the end they said, "Oh, we definitely want to book you. So we're doing this text-to-speech voice system. It's going to be almost 50 hours of recording in the studio." They took me up to Ithaca, New York, put me in a hotel, and we recorded for a maximum of 4 hours a day because they did not want my voice to sound tired. So I'd record from 9 till 1, and then go to lunch at Moosewood, which is this amazing restaurant in Ithaca, and after that back to my hotel room where I would write songs and read and wait for the rest of my voice until the next day. So that is how the voice system came about.
What point in your career did you say, "I have made it"? I have made it.
You know, I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I've yet made it. But there were some moments where I thought, "Oh, this is getting closer." And those moments, I was named one of the most intriguing people by People magazine, which was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So that made me feel pretty happy. And, you know, I've shared the stage with some pretty incredible musicians, but for me, one of my most favorite was being the opening performer for Neil Sedaka for a concert. And my parents happened to be here from Australia, and they were in the audience, so that was a pinnacle, wow, I've really done something moment. But people tell me that I've really made it because I was a clue in the New York Times crossword puzzle. Isn't that funny?
Wow. Yeah, no, I have not heard of that.
Yeah, so
and that is not in my goals, but that is something.
Yeah, so I haven't had a New York Times bestseller, and, you know, I haven't toured the world like on the Celine Dion level or sung at the Grammys or the things that I still have on my list. But yeah, I was a clue in the New York Times crossword puzzle. Totally not what you think to put on the goal list.
But yeah, but now it's in your bio, I'm sure.
It is, because I think it's so fun.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
What are the 3 traits that you think think made you successful? I mean, persistence, obviously.
Absolutely unwavering persistence. Yeah. Ah, goodness. Being willing to continually look within. And I think that I'm appreciating that more the older I become, because it can be difficult to admit to ourselves how we are even feeling about something, and to be able to be really truthful with ourselves, because it doesn't always look pretty when we do that. In fact, it's often very messy when we do that. And so that's one trait that I believe the very successful people have, and that's what I aspire to be, is the most effective kind of person I can be. And yeah, I think having the willingness to look within.
So let's look at that. Let's look within that.
Okay.
What does that mean? What does that look like in terms of, I'm going to look within, and that's going to be, each month I'm going to look within. If there was a process so that people could actually do what you're saying, what does that look like?
For me, that is having a meditation practice. So having quiet time every day. Sometimes the word meditation can scare people or repel people, and I am a huge proponent of having some kind of quiet time. And you don't have to call it meditation. You can call it time out. You can call it quiet time, prayer, reflection. You can take a walk, but not be actually listening to something or reading a screen at the same time. But some kind of mental break, so you can start to really know your own mind, see how you tick, to really be able to observe how your own mind works. Because our mind can be our greatest ally or our worst enemy. And negative thinking is something I have to overcome on a daily basis. And I am pretty clear from the study I've done and the people I have in my life, many of them very knowledgeable, that this is a human condition. This is not just me. We are all dealing with our inner voice all the time, and finding a way to really to be persistent despite ourselves in many ways. Because I've been hugely ambitious and had huge dreams since I was a very tiny girl. But the number of naysayers, it's like any time I declare something like I want to perform live at the Oscars or the Grammys, big life goals. There are 20 people ready to come straight out of the gate and go, well, who do you think you are that you can do that? Mm-hmm. And at your age, and with, you're the voice, or whatever it might be. And I could listen to that and stop myself. Now, they're not stopping me, because I am completely accountable and 100% responsible for my own thinking, my own actions. And that's what we are all 100% responsible for. But it can chip away at our resolve.
Yeah.
And that's a terrible shame. And I think it's the biggest challenge and the biggest fight, I think, for most of us, is to keep our head straight.
So I'm looking at the fight that's in your head and the bad guy, good guy. How are you from day to day? What's your mantra? How do you manage that?
Meditation practice every day, 15 minutes, where I close my eyes and just breathe in and breathe out and let go of thoughts. I do that first thing in the morning, almost every day. I haven't missed a day since July 7th, 2011. I'm committed to that practice. And committing to that has had a huge effect on my relationship with myself and my relationship with my word. That I can make a promise like that to myself and keep it no matter what, even when I might be flying somewhere or jet-lagged or busy or distracted. So the meditation practice, I surround myself with like-minded people who are up to something, who are interested in being their best in their lives. And so I have, there are 3 who become very close friends, and myself. So there are 4 of us, and we're on a call 5 days a week. I call it our creation call.
Wow, tell me more about that, because that's pretty intense.
It's intense, and 8 years we've been on that call.
5 days a week.
And it's changed. Times of day have changed over the years, because sometimes one of us has been living overseas or in another time zone.
Yeah.
Right now it's at 7:30 in the morning. The four of us jump on a conference call, and we might talk for 2 minutes, we might talk for 10 minutes, but basically each of us will go around and share a tiny bit about where we're at in that moment on that day, and then what we are creating for the day ahead, what our intention is for the kind of day we want to have. And over the years, we've become family, and our partners and children, and we've been through births and deaths and marriages and babies and cancer and business building and a set of twins and then another set of twins and people living in different time zones and severe debt. And I mean, we've been through as a group and all the whole gamut of life. And it's I've come to see it's an extraordinary thing to have that level of commitment and that level of listening, because we're listening for each other's best. We can call each other out if we're hiding around something, but it's all from a very loving perspective. So that's a major support network.
So in that morning call at 7:30, it could be 2 minutes, 10 minutes. Is it, this is what I'm doing, or am I saying, well, you did that yesterday, or what do you think about this? Is it more brainstorm? Is it just, hey, I'm proclaiming and you're listening?
It's a combination, and it takes different shapes. I mean, some days we've been on a call for 20 minutes, and then toward the end of the year, we'll have an additional call. We'll do a 1-hour call or an in-person where we'll all complete the year, and we talk about what worked this year, what didn't work this year, what we wanted to achieve but we didn't, what our victories were, to get the year complete, so that we can create a space to then create our intentions for the year ahead. And we have a separate call in the new year where we all create what we want to create for the following year. So I mean, we're serious about this, and miracles have happened as a result. And I believe that success happens in clusters. And when you have a group of like-minded people who are committed to each other's best, not just their own, incredible things can happen. So I have that that's one of my support structures. I have quite a number of them, and I have a yoga practice. I am reading inspiring books. I am looking at inspiring materials. I am seldom turning the news on. There are things that I do that I know for me would drag me down. And I don't want to be doing things that are dragging me down. I'm looking for things that are going to lift me up.
So the things that you're muting are the news and what other negativity?
If I notice there are people in my life or coming into my life who are complaining a lot, I see the noise of the complaining.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's a lot of complaining going on or gossiping going on, I extricate myself from those conversations, because, I mean, it's fun, right, to complain, and it's really exciting to gossip.
Oh yeah, we'll hear this, right? Yeah.
It's exciting to gossip. It gets the juices flowing in some kind of morbid way. And I don't want to miss out on that fun, but I know that it's an extremely unhealthy practice, and it's something that I've got a commitment to not do.
So then you were talking about books and your yoga, and what are your daily routines? You share a few of them.
I read my goals every day, so I have a long list of goals.
Yes.
After I meditate, and intentions for the way I want to live my life, and they are phrased in the
future tense.
I mean,
like as it's happened.
Well, more like sometimes, but they are phrased like affirmations. Yes. So I can, during the day, I've got them in my phone, and I can just read through them.
For example, go ahead and share one of them with us, or yesterday's.
Oh my goodness. You mean in terms of my goals or my affirmations?
Just one, so we can see what it sounds like.
I am open and accepting of all the good, wealth, and abundance in my life. Yeah. And I don't know about you. I need to remind myself.
Yeah, I do.
I can allow that in.
Yes.
I seem to have been wired in the past to think it's supposed to be hard, and that I've got to work really, really, really hard. So it works for me to have a reminder that actually success can be easy and natural. If you're open to it, it can be just right there. Not like you didn't do any work for it, but I've been working very hard for decades, so it's okay for things to now evolve and happen.
Because you're ambitious, how do you, I want to get things done, an entire thing done in the next day, but really for a normal person it's going to take a couple of months. How do you, and you're ambitious as well, how do you keep yourself going if you're not moving as forward as quickly as you'd like to? Keep motivated.
Goodness. Well, how do I recalculate?
Exactly.
When things don't go the way I want them to go, I used to really beat myself up. And now I know that this is part of the process. If something doesn't go the way you thought it would and you feel stuck or you don't feel motivated, there are a few things that I do. I will give myself some room to feel those feelings. I will try and shift the energy by going for a walk, taking a drink of water, get on the phone to a friend and clear the air for myself, get some coaching or some support. I will go for a massage. I will take a nap.
Yes.
Napping is so underrated. I do my best work when I take a nap.
Oh.
And I have to keep reminding myself that that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's so counterintuitive to what I have always believed. You've got to work hard, you've got to work hard. No. When I'm taking a nap or then I take a massage and then I'll go for a walk and then I'm like, oh, gosh, you just feel so refreshed and restored.
Thank you. This is what I wanted to hear because I'm a napper as well.
It's incredible. It's incredible how powerful it is. Sleep is your very best friend.
Thinking of, let's say you needed some courage and you have this big presentation and you didn't have the courage because it's a different crowd. How do you build yourself up? You're about to go on in 10 minutes. How do you get there? So you can be the confident person you want to be.
I would reach out to somebody. I'd phone a friend, and I have quite a number of the people in my group, but also speaker colleagues and performance colleagues that I could call, and I would try to get somebody who could just set me straight and give me some support.
Words of affirmation.
Exactly. And if I didn't get them, I would just clear the air myself on their voicemail. And then the mirror is a very important tool.
Okay, so this is the mirror right here.
The mirror is scary.
What are you saying?
So when people talk about how to improve as a speaker or as a human being and build confidence, the mirror is the key. And it is extremely confronting to stand in front of a mirror and just look at yourself, or to stand in front of the mirror and say something or perform or deliver what you deliver. Perhaps there's a scary conversation you want to have with somebody in your life or somebody in your workplace and you don't know how to find the words. Look at yourself in the mirror and just start and bumble it out and be okay with it being just all the wrong words, and keep doing that. And you might cry. I mean, it can be extremely confronting to be looking at ourselves in the mirror delivering anything, but you can work it out. It comes through. And if you have, for example, if you've got to give a presentation, if you've given that presentation to the person in the mirror, you know what you look like. So when you get in front of that group of people, those voices in your mind of, oh my God, they don't like me,
yeah.
What do I hope this is right, it quietens that down because you've already seen the worst of it. To be one-on-one up close with yourself in the mirror, you've faced that fear.
I'm just thinking of this flashback of SNL, Saturday Night Live. Doggone it, I'm good enough.
Exactly.
That whole time.
It is funny, but
and that's real. Like a lot of the speakers are doing that.
Yeah.
Earlier in our conversation, you talked about research about negativity and different habits. Can you tell me more about that? Because you have a new book, is that right?
I do.
So what's the crux of that?
So the book is called Recalculate, Directions for Driving Performance Success. And I've broken it down into 4 different areas: business, well-being, delivery, and quality of life. Because there are a lot of people who will chase success, chase the dollars side of success, which are extremely relevant, but then not necessarily have what I would consider complete success. And so this book is a list of outcomes to work toward over a 1 to 2 year period. So this is a long haul goal kind of book to create practices in daily life that really support being at our best across all areas. So being able to, feel good, have our businesses working, be able to deliver, at a moment's notice, the very best of what we have to give to this world, and to have a great quality of life, have great relationships, and really be enjoying success. Because even just the sleep topic, how many people are just exhausted and successful and exhausted? That's not necessarily a great quality of life. And I think that sometimes we can forget why we are driven and doing all the things that we're doing. We're doing it to have a great life and to enjoy life. But that isn't something to necessarily put over in the corner as something to do later. If you are not able to really enjoy the process as it goes, even in the busy and frustrating times, that's just a bit of a shame, because we're reminded every day how short our opportunity at living a great life in this lifetime is. We don't know how long we have, but let's enjoy it.
As I read this book, is it going to tell me, and here's exercise 1, or here's something to think about, or does it give me homework, or is it more conceptual?
Oh, it's homework.
Yes, that's what I want to hear.
So it's 44 outcomes to work toward. And so
and
each
numbered,
one,
it's logical.
they're
it's
numbered, and there's a checklist.
Yes, love.
Love. There's a checklist.
Yes. And is that audio as well?
It will be. You can listen to me tell you where to go and what to do. Yes.
And will your voice sound like the GPS voice that you use?
I think it's going to sound a little bit more like myself, but maybe.
Nice.
Yeah.
What else would you like to tell our audience?
What I would like to say is that no matter where you are in life right now at this moment, it is never too late to recalculate. And life is always happening, some kind of challenge, big or small, but I really believe that it is a case of small steps and actions, one direction at a time, on a daily basis, that really builds that resilience and that resolve. And even if things seem dire, it's not too late to be able to move toward the kind of life you want to live and to becoming the kind of person you want to become.
I'm ready to get your book. But I want an audio. Thank you.
Thank you.